Update. Am I the a-hole for ghosting my girlfriend's daughter after my girlfriend cheated on me? Original post. I, 26 male, was in a relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female, for 6 years. I was engaged to her and our marriage was scheduled in a few months' time. My girlfriend had a daughter at a really young age. Her ex left the state immediately after he heard that she got pregnant. When I started dating my girlfriend, her daughter was 2. Over the past 6 years, I've pretty much considered her my own daughter and treated her as such. I had plans to legally become her stepfather after marriage. I love my daughter so much. After a couple of months ago, my girlfriend confessed that she has been having an affair after I saw her text from her coworker. The texts were so outrageous that she really couldn't lie about the affair. She said that she had been having an affair for a few months. I obviously canceled the engagement and the wedding and moved out a week later. My girlfriend's daughter was a bit confused and it hurt me, but I really did not want to be around my girlfriend anymore. I have now completely cut off contact with both my girlfriend and her daughter. My girlfriend does still text me frequently and is asking me to reconsider at least maintaining a relationship with her daughter temporarily, because her daughter has constantly been asking where is her dad and even been crying quite a bit. This does hurt me a lot and I really wanted to maintain a relationship with my girlfriend's daughter, but the issue is that if I go over to their house, I will have to see my girlfriend's face, and I just can't stand to see her face anymore. I am trying to leave it all behind and already starting to go on new dates. Am I the a-hole? Not at all. It's up to your ex to explain to her daughter what has happened and have some accountability. Now for the comments before reading the update. This person says, say goodbye to the little girl. Tell her the truth or that you both don't love each other anymore and that you still love her but you have to leave. This person also says, I think saying goodbye to her and letting her know that it isn't her fault would be helpful for the little girl's understanding. I feel bad for OP though, too. I agree with that. This is 1000% without throwing shade at her mother. This would be an incredible thing for you to tell the daughter. Her daughter clearly thought of you as her father or a paternal figure, and you being gone now likely leaves a gigantic, empty, easy to blame on herself hole in her heart. Don't let her grow up to fill it with toxic shit people tend to fill it with when they grow older. I've always been super careful about dating women with kids. It's almost a no-go for me, despite having kids of my own. It's a role that's too easy to fall into, and it's never the kid's fault that something has happened. Having that conversation with her could quite possibly prevent a lifetime of self-blame and other negative thoughts. Just my 2 cents worth, but frankly, if you allowed her to call you father, I believe that it's your responsibility to rectify that, not just the cheating mothers. I may get some hate for this, but that's just how I feel. I grew up in a broken home with a step this and step that, and I never considered my stepdad anything but a man my mother married, period. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have thought of him any other way. I so feel this, especially the last paragraph, so much so that I am, frankly, stunned when kids accept step-parents willingly and happily. My mom had so many toxic relationships, she's in one now, that I refused to even acknowledge them after a while. My stepfather, the only one that I ever claimed, married her when I was 27. They were married for just over 22 years before he succumbed to cancer. He wasn't even dead yet when this jerk started sniffing around. I wholeheartedly agree with your statement about the hole in her heart. Not only will she try to fill it, but she's likely to settle for any male figure or figures who will give her love and attention. Unlike me, my daughter has grown up in a stable home. I've been married to the same wonderful man for nearly 28 years, and we even still live in our first house. Whatever issues she may have, she knows she has a loving father to talk to who has always been there for her. I used to actually envy her a little bit. Girls need strong male figures in their lives too. This person says you should probably move on. It's the best way to get over it. You'll only hurt yourself more by seeing your ex. And when your ex gets into another relationship, she'll just cut you out of her daughter's life and there's nothing you can do about it since you have no legal right to see her. Now for the update. The guilt of not giving my ex's daughter closure was eating me up, and the comments agreed that she would probably get trauma issues in the future if she didn't get closure. So even though I didn't want to communicate with my ex ever again, I did it one final time to give her daughter closure. I texted my ex this morning and asked her if she could drop her daughter off at a neutral location in the evening so I could spend a few hours with her and give her proper closure. My ex agreed, and at evening time, she dropped her daughter off to me. Her daughter was really happy and emotional when she saw me, and we spent the next few hours doing a bunch of fun stuff. After a few hours, as her mom was on her way to pick her up again, I told her that this would be the last time she would ever see me, and it's not her fault at all. She broke down in tears and kept asking why and begged me to never leave. I lied and told her that I had to move to a different country and would never come back. I told her if she wanted to make me happy, she had to be good to her mom. I gave her a stuffed dog toy and also a letter. She was really emotional and cried a lot at the end, especially when her mom came to finally pick her up. I said my goodbyes and told her I would always remember her, and that this is probably my final update. Today was really heart-wrenching, especially seeing my ex's daughter crying like that, but I hope this gives her the closure she needs and that she understands it was not her fault. As for me, I will carry on with my life as usual, although right now I'm feeling extremely hurt and devastated. I have a nice job offer in another state which I will probably accept. A change in scenery will also probably be good for me and my mental health. Story 2. I, 26 female, found out that I'm pregnant after having revenge sex with the fiance, 35 male, of the girl, 30 female, who my ex-boyfriend, 32 male, cheated on me with for 2 years plus 1 year update. Original post: my ex and I met when I was 20, but were only friends until we started dating 2.5 years ago. I found out last year that my ex had been cheating on me for basically our whole relationship with a girl he met through a mutual friend. I broke things off after I found out and told the girl's fiance about the affair. He ended up breaking off their engagement after he found out, and she seemed nonchalant about it until she realized that my ex's money wasn't actually his. My grandma left me a lot after she passed away back in 2019, and my ex had been flaunting around the things that I gifted him throughout our relationship to her, even going so far as to claim that the house and the antique car my grandpa left for me in his will were my ex's. Oh, wonderful. It's not something I'm proud of when I think back to it, but I did allow my ex to walk all over me for the first month or two after I broke things off because I missed him so much. I gave him money and tried to make things work, but would always get reprimanded by my parents, as you should have been, and friends when I'd run to them crying after he ghosted me for her. I didn't officially give him up until the girl's ex-fiance messaged me and told me that she was rubbing it in some of her old friends' faces about how pathetic I was and how desperate I was for my ex who didn't even give an F about me. I was really upset and asked him if he'd be willing to meet up with me because I knew that if I talked to my parents or friends about this, then they'd just lecture me even more. He agreed, and the two of us met up at a random food cart place. We ended up spending most of the day just exploring and talking about how we were doing. He'd also confided in me about his relationship with his ex. They'd known each other for 10 years, and they liked each other for most of the time they were friends, but he wasn't looking for a relationship because he was focusing on school. He had decided to give them a chance after she'd driven 12 plus hours overnight to him because they'd talked on the phone, and he said that he was feeling under the weather and was stressed from how vigorous his residency schedule was. She dropped everything to take care of him, helped clean his place, made him some home-cooked meals after finding out that he was surviving off of vending machine snacks and instant coffee. He told me in detail about how he'd never felt so loved and cared for, how after she'd done that for him, he'd decided that she was the one, that if this wasn't love, then love wasn't real. Finding out that she was cheating for the last 2 years made everything click into place. She'd been pushing off getting married, telling her friends that she was having doubts about him. He had been trying to convince her into going into couples counseling when I broke the news to him that she was sleeping with my ex. I felt like a monster hearing their love story and then realizing that they didn't get their happy ending because of my ex, and I messed with my head. We continued to talk from time to time, checking in on each other and meeting up for a quick bite every now and then. We lost contact after the girl my ex cheated on me with somehow convinced him to take her back. I became slightly depressed after he cut me off, explaining to me that he was still in love with her and wanted to work things out, which meant a clean slate. I found out through some internet snooping that my ex cheated on her too, which was why she went back to her ex-fiance. A few months passed and things went back to semi-normal. I started getting therapy and was about ready to put myself back out there to try out the dating pool again, when around New Year's I got a call from the guy. He was crying and asking if I was available to talk. I, of course, said yes, and out of concern met with him at his place. He broke down to me and told me about how he had found her and my ex in his mom's guest bedroom during Christmas when she'd snuck him in for a quickie during his family's busy holiday party. All hell broke loose when he found out that they were in the guest room after spending 20 minutes looking for her everywhere. We drank a bit and ended up having sex. He apologized and told me that it was a mistake and that he wasn't in his right mind, that he just wanted revenge sex, but it didn't make him feel any better afterwards. I tried to message him platonically a few times afterwards to see if he was all right, but he blocked me. So I dropped it and went on with my therapy and life. I went in last week to check with my doctor since I've been getting bad cramps and to get a new prescription refill for my birth control that I used to help with my PCOS. I had to do a usual test to double check for the possibility if I was pregnant and was very surprised when it came back positive. I've been sitting on this new knowledge and have been contemplating on if I should tell him, not tell him, or if I should even keep the pregnancy. My doctor did inform that I am still in the earlier stages, but I am still at a big risk of having a miscarriage, so I don't know if I should even be worrying at all about all of this, since there is a chance that I could lose the baby. And then it just seemed like I was trying to grab at his attention or something, especially after he made it clear to me that he wasn't comfortable talking to me anymore after we slept together. I haven't told anyone, and I've been going crazy because I don't know what to do. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my original post. I know a lot of people were against this, but I went through with the pregnancy, and I'm forever grateful for my beautiful baby. I had originally planned to get an abortion, but I found myself unable to go through with the appointment. I am pro-choice and always will be. Just because I chose to keep the baby doesn't mean any other woman or girl should be forced to keep a pregnancy they do not wish to continue. Everyone has a right to their own bodies. My parents are very upset with me and my whole family disown me. I listened to what some of you said about letting the father know. We'll be referring to him as D. After many failed attempts to reach out to him, I decided to go in person. D was not happy when I showed up at his place, but when I told him why, he agreed to talk with me. D let me know that he had officially ended things with his ex and wanted to go no contact with me because there was another tie to his past with her. But he was willing to try and figure out a co-parenting plan with me if I agreed to a paternity test first. I, of course, felt a bit bad about the paternity test part, but agreed to it since we both had only been each other's acquaintances that bonded over our trauma. Everything was honestly easy cruising until I started to spot around the 26-week mark, and my OBGYN explained that while spotting is normal while pregnant, mine was heavier and my blood sugar and blood pressure also worried them. After a few nights of D insisting on sleeping on my couch, I had him help me move some things to his place since he lived closer to the hospital. I'm very thankful I decided to semi-move in with him when I did because I went into premature labor at 32 weeks. I'm very thankful to have had D and his family as my support system. His mom would have come and switch out with him at the hospital and advocated for me whenever I felt washed out or unheard. She helped me both emotionally and physically and stood by me. Dee's mom also helped me work through my emotions when all I wanted was my mom. She and my dad had gone no contact with me after I decided to keep and have my baby. Dee's mom was an absolute godsend also because she's a retired nurse. She started in OB, went to NICU, and eventually later settled into lactation before retiring, and explained things to me when we found out that the baby had respiratory problems and had SUA, single umbilical artery, and that it could have been a factor into why I went into premature labor. She stayed with Dee and I so that she could help me with pumping since I wasn't able to produce milk, and encouraged me when I felt like such a failure for not being able to take care of my son when he needed me the most. She drove me to and from the hospital while my son was in NICU because I was healing and so mentally and physically was exhausted. I really and truly believe that I didn't fall into a postpartum depression because she held me and helped me with each step and was always so patient with me even when I wasn't with myself. Dee's mom would constantly remind me that nothing was our fault and no one did anything wrong. It's just that everyone is faced with hardships in life, and this was one we'd worked together to get through. My son graduated from NICU and came home a month after I did. Dee's mom visited us often and helped him with since Dee and I were first-time parents. Dee's dad joked that he felt like she and I had the baby together, and he and Dee were both just background characters that made guest star appearances every now and then since Dee was working so much in order to build more PTO, and his mom wouldn't bring his dad along when she'd come to visit since she didn't want him to disturb me and the baby with his loudness. Dee's dad is hard of hearing and could sometimes be unaware of his volume, so he took no offense to it. Dee's siblings and family members posted a lot about her son because he was the first grandchild and first baby in a long time. Dee's youngest cousin is 17, turning 18 this year. Somehow, someone must have shared a photo or something, but pictures of us reached my family and my parents demanded I let them meet my son. Dee was supportive of whatever I chose to do and said that he'd agree to them meeting him if that's what I wanted. After thinking about it for a few days, I decided that I wanted to talk to my parents before I let them meet my son. And when we met up to talk, my parents were offended that I didn't bring my son with us and left him with Dee's parents. They said some really hurtful things, and then my dad started to question on when Dee was going to ask him for permission for us to get married since we didn't already have a shotgun wedding while I was pregnant. I was okay with them insulting me since I'd grown up with it and was used to it, but once my parents put their target on Dee and his family, I became upset and decided it was time for us to leave. My parents did try to petition for legal visitation rights. Honestly, before this whole ordeal, I did not even know that grandparents' rights existed, but were denied because my son is still very young and because both Dee and I are very much on good terms, are living in the same household, and they couldn't find or prove that there was any danger to our son's well-being. My family did try to reach out to us and claim that we were horrible people for denying my parents their grandchild, but no one ever seemed to be able to make a peep when Dee's family would defend us and point out that my family had been the one who disowned me and that no one cared to see if I was okay until after I had the baby and everything was handled. Dee's mom and my mom got into a verbal, almost physical altercation after my mom had made false reports to CPS and called the police to do multiple welfare checks on us. My mom was given a warning by the police for harassing us after one specific incident where she threw a tantrum and caused a scene when the police found nothing wrong in the welfare check and refused to listen to her demands to have my son temporarily taken away from us and put in her custody for his safety. Oh my word. Dee and I currently have restraining orders pending against my parents and certain family members. One of the reasons I decided to update is because about 2 months ago, a friend of Dee's asked him out to have some drinks, and they ran into his ex-fiancée, who later messaged him to tell him that she regretted the way that they had ended and how she was very hurt when she heard that we had a baby together, especially with it being so soon after their relationship. Dee wouldn't talk to me about how he felt, and when I asked him, he just brushed me off or switched the conversation onto a topic about her son that he knew would distract me. I noticed Dee pulling away from me and how our relationship became a bit awkward and strained after their run-in, and her message about because I knew that he still has feelings for her and I'm afraid that he might feel trapped with me and our son. I also noticed that the drama with my family has made Dee and his family less patient with me and my son. During Mother's Day, I overheard a few of his family members make comments to Dee about me being at their family barbecue since I was just my son's mom and not really part of the family. Dee just shrugged and said that I didn't have anyone else to spend the day with. With how tense things have been, I have been thinking about moving out and back into my own place. I stayed with Dee at his place after I gave birth, but now that her son is slightly older and I'm healed, I want to give Dee back some space so that he can start dating again if he wants to, and to give him back to some more bachelor time when I have our son. I want to find a way to approach me moving out and us making a co-parenting plan without making things more awkward or possibly ruining the relationship that I have with Dee and his parents. I don't want them to feel like I'm not grateful or anything, but I do want to go back to work and get my life back on track so that I can provide my portion of needs for my son and not want to depend on his family for more than appropriate. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.